everyone, welcome back to ErikaBuilds and another Sims 4 speed build. Today we are back in the world of Glimmerbrook again, and you might recognize this lot. It is the same 40 by 30 lot that I built on a couple of weeks ago for my Oregon mountain home. And I really love this lot because it's surrounded by mountains and all this sort of rocky terrain, which I think really works well for this build, which is another mountain style home. And this house is actually being done as a request by one of my followers on Instagram. I had put out an Instagram story a couple of weeks ago saying that I was in need of some inspiration, and so one of my followers sent me this picture that you're seeing right now in the corner of the screen of a house that is in Colorado. I believe it said Steamboat Springs, if my memory is correct. But as I've said before on the channel, I lived in Colorado a couple of different times in my life. When I was a little kid, I lived there. I think I was maybe about 7 years old. My dad went on a sabbatical to a school that was in Boulder, Colorado, and so we lived there for a year. And then after I graduated from college, I went back to Colorado and lived for another year in the city of Aspen. And so I love Colorado. It's just really just close to my heart. It's a place where I wish I could live, and maybe I will someday, I don't know. But anytime I see a Colorado house, I really have a strong urge to want to build it. And so when my follower sent me this picture, I was like, yes, I will definitely build this house, or at least try to build it. As you can see from the reference photo, it is a gorgeous house. And unfortunately, even doing an extensive Google search, I could not find any additional pictures of this home, like of the sides or the front. I at first I thought the reference photo was of the front, and then I realized it was the back. And I was like, oh man, it's so pretty. I think I'll just make the back into the front because as I've said before, I'm not really good with like coming up with like corresponding like if I have a picture of a front or a back, it's very hard for me to imagine what the other side would look like. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna put the back in the front and that way I know the best face will be forward, which I think helps when people are in the gallery looking for a house. And so I decided that I was going to put this as the front of the house. So I did have to change some things to make that work. As you might have noticed, this house has a walkout basement, and I've talked about walkout basements several times on the channel before, but basically that is always built as the first floor of the home, because as The Sims exists right now, we cannot make a true walkout basement. So if you actually build a basement on a lot, you can excavate the terrain and expose the basement, but you cannot add windows and doors. So the only way that you can do it is your basement has to be the first floor, and then you have to pull the terrain up next to it so it looks like a basement. But it's not really very easy because there's always this gap between the foundation and the terrain that you have to either fill in with rocks or cover with shrubbery or something. And so it's kind of a pain, and I'm kind of hoping that maybe someday they'll add the feature where we can put windows and doors on basements, because that would just be so much easier. So anyway, I had to do some changes in order to make this front work, just because obviously it has to come down to street level with stairs so that the Sims can enter the house. And so I had to make a staircase and kind of I don't know, come up with something that would work. But as far as the exterior goes, the real house was a combination of horizontal and vertical dark brown wooden boards. And so I used this brown that I used is, I think, the darkest brown boards that we have. And then I matched it with stone. And then actually the concrete block that was in the real house, we didn't have. And so I used this gray block, which I believe is called plaster something. I can't remember the name of the wallpaper. But anyway, it's a combination of those 4 wallpapers for the exterior. And I feel like the house definitely has sort of like a modern rustic look. It does have that sort of cabin, Colorado mountain feel, definitely, but I feel like the windows and especially the like iron beams, which I didn't try to recreate because the only iron that we have in the game, we do have some like iron door frame type wall decor that I actually played around with it a little bit because I really did want to add the iron beams to the front of the house. But I ended up just using wooden beams because we don't really have like that very industrial like I-beam in the game, at least not without CC. And so I decided just to go with wooden beams, but I did use the very modern style of windows and doors. So I think it gives this house a nice mixture of themes where you can play off of the modern and also the rustic. And then I actually added quite a few industrial touches to the house as well. And I feel like anytime you are on a website for a realtor or a home builder, industrial is like the in thing, you know? And so I could kind of tell just looking through the windows of the reference photo that there were some industrial things in for the interior. So I tried to do some of that as well. So as you can see, I'm struggling a little bit, and not really because I couldn't do it, but because I couldn't decide how I wanted to do it. At first, I thought about stepping up to the house, and then I went ahead and did this front patio just because it made the entry so much easier to work with. And yeah, so in the reference photo also, there were these very, very large overhangs. And the way we roof in The Sims, we can pull eaves down and make large overhangs, but the bad part is the columns will not snap to the overhangs. Columns will only adjust to roofing. And so I had to actually, as you can see, I'm working on it right now, I had to actually pull the entire roof out, which is not really aesthetically what was in the picture. But in order, the only other way I could have done it would have been to pull out the eave, and then the columns wouldn't have touched it and there would have been like a gap. So this is one thing about recreating, is we do have limitations in The Sims with things that we can do. And so a lot of times you'll see something and you'll think, oh yeah, I can do that. And then you get into the game and you're like, no, wait, I can't do that. And so it takes a lot of tweaking and a lot of adjusting in order to achieve, you know, the look that you're going for. But in the end, once the house was totally done, I do feel like it looks fairly close to the reference picture. And that's really just my goal. Every time somebody gives me a picture, you know, I really want to try to honor it as best as I can, but obviously, you know, within the limitations of the game. Speaking of the game, I guess everybody has probably seen that we have gotten the official announcement of University coming to The Sims, which I'm excited for. I already pre-ordered it. I'm definitely going to check it out. I haven't read a lot about it because I'm kind of one of those people that just wants to wait until I get the pack and just kind of play around with it myself. So I haven't really read a ton about it, but from what I saw in the preview, that The Sims gave us and the short description, it does look like it's going to be really fun. And it looks like it's definitely, a gameplay based pack, which seems like very much the focus these days with The Sims. Smaller worlds, not really as much building things, and not as much creativity. I hate to say that, but really not as much creativity as much as they've kind of setting everything up for us. Because if you look at Realm of Magic or Strangerville or even Island Living, there's not really a lot of creativity that we need to put into that. It's really set up where you can just jump right in and play, which I'm sure is probably what most people want to do with The Sims. But for people like me, it's hard because I want to build everything myself. And so I'm really hopeful that once this pack comes out, we will actually be able to build proper dorms and student apartments and things like that will be, just something different and fun and new to do. I really am excited about the dorm furnishings that we get. And I've mentioned this before on the channel, but I feel like, we have been in desperate need of more kids and teens decor for just like suburban homes and bedrooms for families. So I'm really hoping that this dorm stuff will not only be good for dorms, but also just good for kids' rooms in general. So that's exciting because I'll tell you, I've about had it with parenthood and the kids stuff pack. Those are, I really need some variety for kids' rooms. So I am excited to see what comes with that. And then it looked like there was a lot of really cool new interactions like the beer pong and all that, so we can all relive our college days. I don't know, it should be pretty fun to check it out. But yeah, so look for some builds coming. I don't get any like early access or anything, but I will have some builds coming once the pack is released. So as you can see, I am now finally on the interior of this massive house, and I don't know, when I have these really giant like cavernous spaces to work with, it's very hard to decide where to start. But ever since we got these new stairs that we can twist and turn, that kind of tends to be what I start with first. If you've noticed in my last few builds, I always start with the stairs, just because the way that the stairs are now with these different shapes and patterns, they're very hard to move and adjust later. Like when you're doing furniture and decor, it's very difficult to make stair adjustments. And so I like to get my stairs in first before anything else. And then I can floor plan and decorate and furnish around where I put those stairs. And like I said before, with the industrial elements, I really wanted to keep a wrought iron stairway for the interior to match the exterior. And then in the reference photo, you could see through those giant windows in the front of the house, you could see this massive, massive stone fireplace, which I wanted to recreate so bad. And I don't know how to really make it work other than what I did, which basically, and I think I actually might have cut that out of the video, so I'm sorry. But basically what I did is I put a fireplace in, and then I boxed it in with walls, and then I put a doorway in front of it to try to make it look bigger than it was. And then I took that sort of like faux fireplace that we got, I think it's in base game. Yeah, it's in base game. That looks like a fireplace, but it's not. It's like a decorative piece. I blew that up one click, and I kind of like put it, it's so hard to describe, but I like put it over the other fireplace, which probably sounds strange, but I don't know. If you download this house, you can look and see what I did and tell me if you think it works. I wish we had, I'm just looking at the screen right now. This was so funny. Okay, so I wanted to recreate that like concrete fire pit that they had on the porch, and I kept trying to put the chairs down. I'm like, why are the chairs floating? What's going on? And then I realized because I had raised that fire pit up with the 9 key, it moved all the chairs, so the chairs were like floating in the air. I don't know. I just had a crazy moment there for a second trying to figure out what in the world was going on. But yeah, so I had to move the fire pit, put the chairs down, and then move the fire pit back so that my chairs wouldn't be floating in air. Here's the worst part about terrain manipulation is you end up with these ugly, like, I don't know, just, you know what we really, really need, like put it at the highest priority, is we need some grass and shrubs and flowers that will conform to terrain manipulation. Because when you go in to manipulate terrain, you can still see the grid. It's just all bumpy and hilly and whatever. So if we had like flexible, low-lying like grass and shrubs and things that would actually form to the terrain, oh, that would be like a dream come true. I really, really want that. So I'm putting it out into the universe. Please, can we have terrain that will actually, shrubs and stuff that will actually fit on the terrain? Because what you end up having to do is sort of float different flowers and shrubs and stuff in the air with like rocks and try to like cover it up. But I never think it really looks that good. At least when I do it, I don't think it looks very good. And so yeah, that's just one thing that I don't like about working with walkout basements. But anyway, now you can see the fireplace that I was trying to explain and how I enlarged that fake fireplace and put it around the real fireplace, which is boxed in with walls. And that was the best way in my small brain that I could come up with making this giant fireplace. If anybody has any tips about how to make a giant fireplace, please drop those in the comments, because especially when dealing with these very, very tall wall heights, I would love some advice on that if you have any. But yeah, so now you're starting to see the overall layout of the house. It has 3 floors. And when you first enter the home, you actually enter on the 2nd floor. And the 2nd floor is where all of the communal areas are. So the family room, the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, the laundry room, all of that is on the 2nd floor. And then the master bedroom is actually on the 1st floor. And that is where the home office is, and also the home gym and the master bath. And then up on the 3rd floor are the 2 kids' rooms, and they each have their own bathroom. And the reason that I did that, well, a couple of reasons. Number 1, the 3rd floor is very small, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to fit a master bedroom up there. Second reason, the person on Instagram that I actually built this house for wanted 2 kids' rooms. And so I was like, okay, this is going to work perfect because I've got this small 3rd floor, and 2 kids' rooms is really all that's going to work up there anyway. And so the parents and the kids are very separated. Parents on the 1st floor, kids on the 3rd floor. So, but it worked, and I think it's kind of cool. And when we get down to the 3rd floor, you'll see that I did like a freelance home office that has actually like an entrance from the outside. But you'll see that in a minute. Okay, so now we're in the kitchen, and I decided to go with spa day cabinets in here, mainly because I knew I had a lot of black to work with in the windows and sort of like the columns and stuff. So I wanted to use black, and I wanted to keep it fairly like sleek and modern, because I really like the way modern cabinets look against this sort of like rough stone wallpaper. And I think it very much fits the theme of the house itself, how it's kind of like this high-end rustic modern type of house. Yeah, so this is all spa day in here, and then the appliances actually are base game. And I was just trying to choose some different like lighting and curtains and stuff in here that would match. And I ended up going with this sort of creamy color. It's kind of like a creamy beige that has almost like a gold color to it. So I really liked how the gold played against the stone, because I feel like it kind of brought the golden tones out of the stonework, because the stone is mostly gray, but it does have sort of these undertones of like a golden color. So I was kind of thinking about that as I was choosing the lights and the curtains. And then I also put a large kitchen island in here because I didn't like how the sink and the fridge were so close together. I never like appliances to occupy the same square. So for example, like if a sim is getting something out of the fridge, they would be standing on the same square as the person who's at the sink. And even though that may never happen in the game, I still don't like it when it does happen, because that does happen to me in my game sometimes, where, you know, the sim needs to put like dishes in the dishwasher, but if somebody's standing in that same square at the sink or something, they'll just throw the dirty dishes on the ground. You know, it's like, oh, I can't wait. I have to just abandon my task. And so I never like appliances to occupy those same squares, because I don't want them to interfere with each other. Okay, so now for the decor in the kitchen, I kept it fairly modern and minimal. In sort of a high-end, classy house like this, I don't really think of a lot of clutter, just sort of like a little bit more fancy and sort of posh looking, I guess. And so there's quite a few things from the cool kitchen stuff pack mixed with just some other odds and ends, but for the most part it's pretty uncluttered. So there's plenty of empty cabinets for cooking, and then I put a bar in the kitchen too, because I ended up having this big area in front of the windows where I didn't have anything to put there, which I think looks kind of nice. They can make some cocktails in the kitchen. Maybe while you're cooking you might need a cocktail. And yeah, so most of the decor is like white, and that's mainly just because, you know, I'm trying to match everything to the stone, and I like how the stainless steel appliances look against the black cabinets. I think that looks really nice. Okay, so the other thing about this family is they have one cat and one dog, which I haven't done a house for both in a while. And so what I decided to do is I put the cat and the dog food bowls both in the kitchen side by side, so hopefully they don't mind eating next to each other. And then I put the litter box and the cat like climbing tree and stuff downstairs on the first floor, because normally if it's a family with a cat, I'll put the litter box and the food together, but since I had a cat and a dog, I don't know, I just couldn't fit it all in the kitchen, because I always put the food dishes by the back door. And I guess that's just because that's the way I always did it. Anytime in my life where I had dogs, or I grew up as a kid, you know, we had dogs, we always kept the food and water dishes by the back door, I guess just because they're coming in and out there a lot. So yeah, that was my thought process behind that. So the kitchen is pretty much done, and now I'm moving out here to the dining room. And it's not really a dining room, it's because it's all very, very open. Really, the living room, dining room, and family room are all just one big giant room. So since I don't have a lot of walls to work with, the dining room doesn't like have a hutch or anything. It's just a big dining room table, which is a combination. The table is City Living and the chairs are from Seasons. And then as you first come in the front door here where this massive fireplace is, this is the living room, kind of more like for guests or just like, you know, entertaining, because there's no TV or anything, just fireplace. So I was kind of thinking of you know, like in traditional houses, you would always see a living room and a family room both. And like the living room would be more formal and the family room would be more for like the family, because that's why it's called the family room. So these two rooms are all in the same area. You know, you could wall this off really easily. If you just follow the edge of that bump out there right by the staircase, you could add a wall there and separate the living room and the family room really easily. But I really liked the look of the winding sort of industrial stairs just kind of floating in the middle of the room. I thought that looked kind of cool, and so that's why I didn't put a wall there and I left it all open. Yeah, so this furniture is all from Jungle Adventure, which is sort of, you know, my go-to pack for rustic builds. And I definitely wanted to keep rustic elements in the house since it's a mountain home. So there's a mixture. And then we really don't have enough bookcases for tall ceilings, which is funny because I don't build on tall ceilings very often, but when I do, I'm always like, wow, we just have this one bookcase. Unless you take a small bookcase and like expand it, which you can do, but then nothing snaps to the shelves, and then you have to use the little clutter shelf for like every single shelf, and I don't know, it's just a pain. And so I ended up using those Seasons bookcases just because I knew I wouldn't have to adjust them. And then over here in the family room area, I decided to go with these sectional couches from my first pet stuff, which I use a lot for dens and family rooms because to me, it just looks super comfy. You can just picture the family all spread out on these couches, eating popcorn and watching movies. So yeah, it's kind of my go-to furniture for family rooms. And they have a big screen TV here, and video games and bookcases and stuff. So yeah, it's all open, but definitely it's got a different vibe. You know, it's definitely more of a relaxed family sort of vibe over on this side of the room. And then I also added a chess table because I always like for families to have some sort of game, and also a piano because I had plenty of space. And anytime I build really giant houses, I usually give them a grand piano because I wish I had a grand piano. And also, you know, I'm always thinking about skill building because I know like when people download houses from the gallery to use for their Sims, you know, they still, if you're going to be playing the game, you know, you still have like those tasks that your Sims have to do, like playing chess or playing the piano or whatever, to, you know, raise their skill levels and stuff. So I always think about that when I'm building, and I try to put stuff like that in the homes. And so, yeah, now you're seeing how this is coming together over here on this side, and the piano just kind of is right in between the living room and the family room. And then for the lighting, since I was working with these really tall ceilings, it gave me the opportunity to use lights that I don't get to use very often, like this sort of like dropped ball light from Cats and Dogs, which I love, but I never get to use it because it hangs down too low. So that was kind of fun to be able to use that. And now I'm back over here by the kitchen in the laundry room, and I decided since it was right next to the kitchen, it made logical sense that it would have the same cabinetry as the kitchen. So this is Spa Day again, which I sort of blended with the Laundry Day pack to make this kind of cool laundry room, which has a very, you know, sort of comfy family feel, but it also still has like that modern sort of look to it. So I think it turned out really cute, and I love this black rug from Seasons. It's one of my favorite rugs to use. And then the last room left on this level, I think I cut that out of the video, was just the bathroom, which I also did in like a black and gray design so it would match the laundry room. Okay, down here on the first floor, this is where I had this idea for the home office. And I was kind of imagining, like, wouldn't it be cool if your Sim could be like a therapist or something, and they could have like patients come over, you know, I don't know. This was like a headcanon I was coming up with for this family. And it started out, and then I accidentally turned off the recording again. I'm so sorry. Why do I keep doing this? I don't know. I get distracted. And so, yeah, you just missed like 3 rooms. Basically, you missed the home office, the home gym, and the master bedroom. I'm really sorry. The master bedroom is done in Get Famous. That was a request by the person who I built this house for, in blue. And you can see kind of there on the corner where I put the cat items. If your family doesn't have a cat, you could easily turn that cat area into something else. This was just specifically being done for a family that had a cat. So yeah, sorry about that. And then up here on the 3rd floor is where I did the 2 kids' rooms. And again, the request from the person whose house this is for wanted a yellow and gray kids room and a light blue kids room. And so that is what I did. And I had plenty of room to give them both their own bathroom as well. As I said in the beginning of the video, I'm really tired of parenthood and the kids stuff back. But yet again, here we go. More of those 2, because that's just the best way for me to do kids rooms, I guess. But yeah, I'm super excited to see what we get in this university pack. I hope we get some really cute bedding and just some really cute furniture. And when I think about dorms, you know, I think of like all the cubbies and the shelves and like just space saving type stuff for, you know how it was when I don't know, maybe you didn't, but when I think back to when I lived in a dorm, you know, it was all about maximizing space. And so, yeah, I'm super excited. And maybe some new desks and bookcases and all that. I'm so ready. Please give it to me. And then maybe I'll feel more inspired to be creative with my kids' rooms. But yeah, this room is pretty straightforward. Desk, laptop, bookcase, twin size bed and full length mirror and just kids decor, toy box, nothing unusual. But these rooms are pretty big, and I tried to give the kids some activities and some personality, even though I'm not really sure what type of kids these are. I should have asked what their traits were, but oh well, it's too late now. So then for this bathroom, I also did it in gray and yellow to match the bedroom, so it's all coordinated. And I ended up putting Get Famous in here again because I remembered that they had requested Get Famous to be used in the house, and I kind of forget about it sometimes. Here I was trying to find a toilet. Don't we have a toilet that's white with a gold flusher handle? I swear we do, and I could not find it to save my life. I don't know, maybe I dreamed that we had it, but anyway, it would have been nice because then it would have matched the tub and the sink. But anyway, it's just a plain white toilet, so it doesn't match perfectly, but that's okay. Sometimes things can't be perfect. I say to myself 1,000 times a day. I think that's why I haven't been building as much the last couple of weeks, because I've been kind of in that mindset of like, nothing is good enough, and I start building things and I end up deleting them because I just feel like they're not good enough for anybody to see. And I don't know, but that's like part of my personality. Anytime you tell me you like something that I did, it doesn't matter what it is, I feel like this strong urge that I have to make it even better the next time. But that's kind of impossible with The Sims, because if I look back over my builds, I feel like it's definitely like a roller coaster of ups and downs. You know, some houses turned out better than others, and I don't think it's possible to really just steadily improve on a constant, you know, uptrend with The Sims. So yeah, it's a bit of a roller coaster. And I always end up coming back to these houses later on and thinking, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that, blah, 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 blah. In fact, I have 3 or 4 houses in the gallery that I really want to remodel. Ones that I built last year that I feel like have a really good like outer facade, like good bones to work with, but I just didn't do a very good job. And so yeah, that might be something I might, what do you guys think that would be something cool to see, like renovating myself? I don't know. You can let me know in the comments if you think that would be interesting. Or I could just renovate them myself and not, record it, and I could just put them in the gallery. That would probably be a lot easier. That's one thing that's like the downside to doing a YouTube channel for The Sims, is that I used to be able to build like 3 or 4 houses a week. And now, because of making videos and because I'm not very good at making videos, you would think, I've started in March and I'm still not good at making videos, that's kind of the thing that stinks, is like, I feel like I don't get to make as many houses because it takes me so long to do the videos. And so sometimes I think, maybe I should just stop making videos because it's less houses. Am I having less fun? I don't know. I mean, it's fun to make the videos, but then I don't know. It's a mixture of emotions. Like, I enjoy the final product of like, wow, I made a video, but the whole like production of it is just so stressful. But anyway, let me know if you like this house. I always love hearing from you guys in the comments, so let me know what you think, or if you have any requests. As I said in my last video, I am kind of overwhelmed with requests right now, and I'm trying to sort of categorize them into a way that makes sense, because I don't want to forget anyone. In fact, if you made a request last spring, I'm going to apologize, because when I got my new iPhone a couple of weeks ago, I forgot to save my request album off my old iPhone, and I lost it. Most of them were done, but there were a few in there that I hadn't gotten to yet. And if yours was one of them, will you please send it to me again? Because I'm really sorry. I did not mean to blow you off. I think there were just a couple that were in there, but I can't remember now who they were. So anyway, yeah, requests. I'm always happy to take them, as long as you can just be patient with me. So if you would like to download this house, it is available in the gallery. My ID is ErikaBuilds. And you can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My username is ErikaBuilds over there as well. I really appreciate it if you've stuck with me for 40 minutes. I do these voiceovers just in one take, and I don't practice or write anything down. I just sit down and turn on the mic, and I never know what I'm going to say or if I'm going to be able to talk for as long as I need to. But luckily, I have a really big mouth and I love to talk. So it all works out in the end. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you all again in the next video. Bye-bye.